Hello and welcome to this episode 59 of the Accountant's Success Secrets podcast. I'm Mark Lee of Bookmark Lee. I'm a mentor, speaker and debunker.
And I'm Philippa Haynes of Insight 101, supporting you to stand out. Each week on the podcast, we showcase another experienced accountant or bookkeeper who we think can inspire and encourage other accountants and bookkeepers in practice around the UK.
We both recognise that every accountant and bookkeeper is unique and distinct. They have different backgrounds, experiences and reasons for starting and building their own practices.
Yeah, so we asked them to share their stories. That's what it's all about, including the highs, the lows, and what they've learned along the way. We look to explore the things that make them different in terms of their background, their successes, their failures, and their focus.
Our aim is to provide some fundamental insights for you, our loyal listener. And if you'd like to share your story in a similar way, do please get in touch with Philippa or me. We're now taking bookings into July.
We certainly are. So today we are delighted to introduce Chris Gascoyne, who has been running his Acumist accounting practice in Windlesham, Surrey for over 30 years. You don't look old enough, Chris. Together with his staff of two, his team of two, their clients include a variety of business owners who are mostly creatives or in property and construction, and there are a few wholesalers to boot. Chris is a Xero certified advisor who started his career in the corporate recovery and insolvency departments of several top 10 firms.
Welcome, Chris. What would you like to add before we get into the interview?
Not much, I don't think. That's a fairly good introduction. Thank you very much.
Great.
Cool. Well, we'll find out more, I'm sure. There's lots to unpick. But just before we start, we must thank our sponsor, Pinnacle Global, a trusted outsourcing partner with well over 150 clients across the UK and Ireland. Pinnacle's CEO, Mayank Pandya, is a chartered accountant based in London, and he has a passion to encourage innovation and excellence in the accounting profession. Pinnacle has offices in the UK and offshore delivery centres across India, employing over 300 high-quality staff. With a strong focus on quality assurance, Pinnacle has helped many UK accounting firms to scale their capacity and operations. To find out more, please visit www.pinnacleoss.co.uk. You'll also find the link online wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Also supporting the podcast is the Tax Advice Network. Their website enables accountants to choose specific specialist tax advisors for general tax support or for help across any of over 100 areas of tax. It's free to use. You just pay the tax advisor you choose after agreeing terms with them. Go take a look at their website, findataxadvisor.online, where you can also register to get your weekly tax tips, which are written especially for general practitioner accountants.
Good stuff. Right, now back to Chris. As you know, we aim to keep the podcast to around 30 minutes, and we do that by focusing on a few questions.
Indeed. And I'm going to go first.
You are?
Can we go? Yeah. Let's go back to the start, Chris. How and why did you set up your accountancy practice, and how have you seen things evolving since then?
So the how I set up largely as a result of being made redundant around the same sort of time as my father, and encouraging him to go into business on his own. He needed some help, so that's what got me started. Some very basic stuff to begin with, and it was just simple bookkeeping. Picked up Sage at the time, which I now don't use, and just helped him to keep the book straight, do the compliance work, and as he needed more services, kind of added them to it. A lot of it centered around sort of timely information. So he had a nice bound report every month of what he'd done and how successful he was. And he started showing it around to people that he was working with as a consultant, and of course they were all in similar boats. Computer industry being quite a lucrative ground in those days, and so I gradually started picking up clients from people he was working with. So that's how the business got started.
And would I be right in thinking that you, although you'd worked in large accountancy firms, had you done any training to qualify as an accountant and then to sort of learn how to practice?
So I started with at Ernst & Young, and it was sort of fairly immediately got onto one of their training courses, which put me through ACCA. So I'd started off on the ACCA route. Having left them, moved over to BDO, BDO Store Hayward. I didn't actually carry it on, and at the time was looking to pursue a business or an interest in insolvency. And the Insolvency Practitioners Association was looming large at that point. So it was a natural choice to jump ship over to that. Unfortunately, lost my job at the time and you needed a sponsor to do it. So it never became a thing. And really, the accounting knowledge has sort of grown up out of doing receivership work, having to do live accounts and dealing with things with the sleeves rolled up, and actually sort of getting on and just learning what you need to do in order to run the practice. So it's kind of a thinking on my feet and finding out what I needed to do from others in the industry.
Yeah. And well, I mean, 30 years on, you're still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah,
it baffles me too.
which is quite amazing, isn't it? So we said in the intro that you focus on creatives, but also property and construction. Did that just fall out of the ether, or was it something you're interested in?
So from very early days, somebody that I worked with and started work with at Ernst & Young, I've maintained contact with. He's a very good friend of mine, but he's in property industry. He moved out into industry rather than staying within practice. And kind of picked up a lot of my property and construction clients from him. So that's been a natural evolution, and I've been very well supported in that. The creative side, just out of an interest of my own, I have quite a creative mind, so they're people that I identify with, and it's just become two strange verticals that work quite well together. And the wholesale was again just referrals. For the last 28 of the last 30 years, I've probably worked on referral only, and it served me well. So they're just people that have come in from contacts.
Yeah, as an aside, the sign at the back of you, Chris, you made last weekend. So if anybody wants to message you, I'm sure you can generate fees from that.
I got creative with my router.
Yeah, no, it's great. So I mean, 30 years on, that a lot has happened, I'm assuming, and with the question is, what did you are you at a stage now that you never really expected to get into, or was this the plan all the way?
Quite frankly, I don't think there was ever a plan. So I can't say I expected to be here or expected to be anywhere else particularly. I've run pretty much a lifestyle business for the majority of that time. And had arrived at a point probably 2 or 3 years ago where I decided that I needed to actually have something that I could lean back on later on in life in retirement and give me choices. So currently looking at merger options and looking to grow by acquisition as a fast way of getting me to that point. So leaning on all that experience and looking to people in the industry who might be at similar stages to actually to help me get that leg up. So no, definitely hadn't planned to be here, and it served me quite well in terms of the setup that I had. It just provided me with a lifestyle that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful and very very normal. I talk to a lot of suppliers to the accounting profession who are shocked when they realise quite how many accountants are running what you might call lifestyle business. Appreciate you don't want to share turnover and profits and stuff, but we had a chat beforehand, and I said that you're probably doing better than most that I'm aware of. And it's, I'm not going to say it's easy to run a practice like that. That would be foolish, but it's a lot less challenging than being on the constant lookout for new clients at a significant rate, which people who are unfamiliar with the accounting profession forget that once you've got an established practice and you're providing good service, your clients come back year after year. So there's a limit to how many new clients you need to chase. So I'm entirely with you on that. But obviously your journey. Sorry.
So I was going to say I've been in the very fortunate position of still having clients that started with me 30 years ago. But not only that, I've been very fortunate at being able to cherry pick the ones that I want to work with. So there have been people that I've enjoyed working with that have created the fun that you need to have in business, because that's hopefully why we all get into this sort of thing and take these risks and do things on our own. And yeah, so I've been quite fortunate really in that respect.
Yeah, well, we make our own luck. Somebody once defined it as labour under correct knowledge, doing the right things in the right way. And we learn from experiences, and you've clearly done that. And let's sort of just pursue that. What would you say you've learned along the journey that's helped you get to where you are now?
Just be kind to people. I think there's a lot of pressure out there to how you perform, to do things in a certain way. Certainly as somebody who's come up through the ranks as being qualified by experience rather than through any of the major associations, I know there's an awful lot of, let's call it banter around the social media about people in my position. And yeah, I don't think it really serves anybody. If there's people out there doing a good job and helping business owners to actually do what they need to do, then I think we should all be supporting each other. I'm very collaborative in my approach to things, and I don't really see that too much coming across in those sorts of arguments. Yeah. So,
I mean, one of the big learnings that, I mean, obviously, if you're in the middle of looking at sort of the merger option, and you've also said that you've had some of your clients for 30 years, then one of the big insights, I suspect, is that, you know, one, you've managed to keep these clients, so you're doing a really good job. But two, actually, you know, there's going to be at some point a risk, because those people will retire, yeah. and that's, you know, there's a lot going on in your decision to do what you're doing.
There's also a risk of, obviously, one of the reasons for getting involved with more staff and other people is that I want to take a step back. And a lot of my relationship has been a one-to-one with some of those people. Now, whilst I've got staff in place that have actually helped to relieve me of that, I'm still quite involved and want to be able to step back. So there's a risk there as well that they're not going to get served in quite the same way that they may have done if they carry on to be clients. So, yeah, it's very much a balancing act.
Yeah. So you're a people person, though, and I mean, you talked about, you know, finding someone who is kind of the same mindset, you know, and you also talked about being right brain as well. So you know, you're much more feeling, probably more emotional, are you? And as you say, creative. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's important, isn't it?
So probably about 15 years ago, I decided to change my model of my firm from one that advised to one that coached. So I became an NLP trainer. I took a lot of coaching courses. I became a hypnotherapist. I've done all sorts of weird and wacky things that I very occasionally bring into the boardroom and get people to talk from their unconscious minds rather than their conscious minds. And it's amazing how much that helps in sort of moving directors on or moving boards on when you get some honest output from an unconscious place. So it's been quite useful for me, and I've very much lent on the coaching model going forward. A lot of what I do now is outsourced CFO work and outsourced finance departments. So in that job, there is quite a lot of hand-holding, quite a lot of being a mentor, being just being an ear to listen. And I think my whole sort of right brain leaning, if you like, and my people person side is what serves me well in those sorts of circumstances.
Of course it does. And the fact that you're in touch with your clients on a regular basis is another reason why they're staying with you.
Very much so.
You're doing more than just the year-end stuff looking back. And
I get far more from a cup of coffee in a client's office than I do from any numbers or any spreadsheets.
I love that, and I may repeat that on the reflections episode when we talk about in a few weeks' time. I think it's so important. And a number of the clients that I've mentored or who are members of my sole practice club are also qualified by experience, as you are. And as you say, there's a lot of you called it banter, which is being generous. There's a lot of qualified accountants who've had bad experiences taking over work from unqualified accountants, but equally they've had bad experiences taking on work from qualified accountants as well.
Yeah.
I have 3 chartered accountants that I do work for, and they're happy with me, so I can't be doing a bad job.
I'm
That's
sure
very
you're not.
good. So how do you bring the NLP side? You said you bring it into the room, and that's really interesting. Just give us an example of how that works, just because I'm sure it's one of those things that you're really familiar with, but I'm sure there are
Yes.
people listening in who are like, oh, that's interesting. How does that work?
So I actually started, although I as a trainer, I can run the full gambit of NLP techniques. It's not something I use for therapy. It's not something I use in the same way that a lot of people use it. So I concentrated on the communication and relationships part of the NLP. So I used to run courses for banks, building societies, solicitors, accountants, people who are process-driven people, and then move them out of their comfort zones by taking away the boundaries to thinking. And that whole communication piece is really what's driven it, and how I bring it into the boardroom. It's using hypnotic language. It's using ways of getting to answers to questions which perhaps might take a little more unrooting if you were to try and do it in any conventional ways. It's all done with permission, of course. So I don't spring things on people, and it's all done in congruence. But yeah, it's a great way to actually get to the root of a problem.
Love that. That's really, people talk about NLP, but what I don't think they necessarily do is show how you can incorporate that into a business. Certainly,
Absolutely.
Accounting, where it's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Verbal Aikido, I call it.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very, very true.
Go on, sorry.
No, I'm over to you.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about whether we talk about mistakes at this point, and everybody says mistakes. I've made a few. Yeah. What? Looking
Come on, in 30
back,
years, there's been plenty.
I was going to say we've got a lot to get through.
I think mistakes. One thing I have learned, and I don't really know the answer to it, but I have learned that for me, employing friends never works. Had a bad experience. I think you can become friendly with your team, and I don't think there's any problem with that. I think managing a friendship into a relationship where you're an employer and an employee is quite a difficult one, and I've been burnt. I wouldn't go down that route again. Other things, I think just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should. And I've probably been guilty of this a few times because of my creative side and my abilities with technology. I've been quite happy to produce my own website for many, many years, almost since the company started. But it leaves me with a problem when I don't have the time to do it. So my website is currently woeful, and I'm not planning on doing anything much until my merger talks are complete, because there's little point at this stage. But you end up in a situation where you haven't quite got everything you need in place because there's only one person doing it all. So I think recognizing the point at which you go out for help, and whether that's technical help or physical help, or emotional help, I guess. Then that, I think that's important to recognise. And I've been on my own for a long time. Part of my merger decision or my acquisition decision was all about having other people on board to share that load with. And it's come to me late in life, and I've realised that perhaps had I made a decision like this sooner, maybe I'll be further down the line. I don't know whether that's for good or bad, obviously, but yeah. So it's those sorts of things that I think are probably foremost in my mind in terms of mistakes, but yeah. I am where I am as a result of the decisions I've made, and I'm still here. So
yeah, what kept you as when I say one-man band, I know you've got other people, yes. but you've just said it was kind of you. So what do you think it is? Is it just a personality thing, or is it just because you that realization came, as you said, late in life? But was there some catalyst, or just you've matured or changed, or you may not know the answer?
No, I don't really know. I've never particularly been a team player in the sense of I need to have a team around me to do anything. I think from very early days, I was a county swimmer as a child and a teenager, wow. And I think that's a solo exercise. It's something you do on your own. Yes. Although you're part of a team for a bigger thing, the event itself is a solo exercise. So I can work within a team to achieve something, but part of what I do, I think it's an inevitable extension of that. I see as just me doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
And that may not have served me well through the years, but that's probably where it comes from.
Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, we're all learning about ourselves, and it all sounds quite soft, doesn't it? But being emotionally kind of aware, or that self-awareness of yourself, I mean, it sounds like maybe you're an introvert, or with extrovert tendencies or whatever, but knowing your own motivations, and I mean, I sort of know that now. It's taken me a good 30 years to sort of recognize it, but then play to the strengths as well.
Of course, yeah.
This is going to be an interesting time for you, isn't it? Just sort of getting closer to other people. It's
going to be an adjustment. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be an adjustment for me. But I think it's one I'm ready for. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's an important reflection yourself, recognizing that as we get older, our ambitions evolve and change, and what we're comfortable with changes. And hopefully the merger will happen. You'll have the additional staff, and either you will take to the managing staff and you'll be happy and they'll be happy, or you may decide maybe not after all, in which case you'll find a way to move on positively.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The people side of it doesn't particularly bother me. It's just making sure that the eventual whole is greater than the sum of the parts, I think. And that's where I'm very much the collaborative part of me is coming out. I don't want this to be anything other than a win-win situation for both of us. Right. So it's got to work in both directions, and I think that's important. There's so many mergers you see going through. One party obviously is usually much bigger and much stronger than the other, so they tend to get stomped all over. But this is very much about driving a win-win here.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, I mean, we've had other people talk about similar things, and they've kind of been through, I can't remember who it was now, but talked about a merger that they should never have gone through. Because do you remember that, Mark, where they realized that their values were just completely different? And so they join forces. It's a bit, well, it's like any relationship. We suddenly think, oh, we want different things, but we hadn't sort of thought about it. But at least in your case, I mean, you already, you have a sense that you're the same type of person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As you said, there's a balance there to the businesses, and so it feels much more natural as a consequence.
Yeah, I'm not sure the businesses are necessarily as in tune as the two of us are as business owners, but I think it comes from the top. So clearly there's a way forward there. And it's just about rationalising the two businesses and making sure it aligns with both of our values.
Yeah, lovely.
Just before we move on to sort of wrapping things up, do you want to share what do you think clients would say makes you / Acumist unique or singles you out? Why do new clients come to you and stay with you, do you think?
I think the large part of that, if you read any of the reviews that I've had or that Acumist has had, has been about communication. I think what drove that really home for us was COVID times, when I was out there pushing communication, helping clients out when other accountants were closing their doors because they didn't know what to do. And I know there were many other accountants out there doing the same sort of thing, but it was that sort of really difficult time for everybody that really drove the need for additional communication. And I think that served me well from the beginning. I'm quite happy to have a chat. I work on a fixed fee basis, so clients can ring me up as much as they like and chat and talk things through. And I think that served us well, that ability to just be that ear to listen to some of the problems. And whether it be formal communication via email or sort of anything that's disseminated to clients as a whole, or whether it be that one-to-one time, doesn't really seem to matter. Most of the feedback I receive is about the fact there's someone there, someone to talk to, someone who'll always, if we don't know the answer to a question, we'll find it and come back, or just someone to chat to and have a cup of coffee with.
I think that's wonderful. Love that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you said that you're not massive on social media, but obviously there are other channels, whether
Yes.
it's marketing or whatever.
Yes.
So what's your preference then? Are you out networking, or how does it work for you?
I don't network vastly, which is one of the reasons for looking at the merger I'm looking at, because the other team involved are very much aligned with that way of doing business.
Yeah.
But I do like to get out to various select events. I do have a good network, particularly around software companies that I've integrated. I do like to get involved with those, and I tend to find that actually work comes back that way as a result of me getting involved. Very much tech minded and tech first with a lot of what I do. So to get involved with those companies is quite a nice way of proving what we can do in a modern world. As a result of that, I do get feedback.
Is that an additional area of expertise and beyond the creatives, wholesalers, property construction?
So I can move that back to my father again, because he was in computers and got me into those from a very early age. So I was a really early adopter of Xero and Dext, which we probably shouldn't talk about, because that's probably what got us here in the first place. And so very early adopter of some of the technologies that are now day to day for most accountants. I've got a few clients in that sort of IT space. Not something I've particularly majored on. It's kind of a personal interest more than anything else. But I've just wanted to be at the forefront of things for clients' needs. So very much bringing AI into everything that we do here.
Oh, the awful AI! Yeah.
See, it's a two-edged sword, I'm sure, but I think if we don't embrace it and understand it and learn how we can bring it into the practices, I don't really see how we're going to survive going forward. And that's part of the collaborative piece as well. I think it's helping other people along into that that perhaps aren't so confident using it or integrating it into their work. But I think it's a force for good, as with most software. Anything that can help us do our job. I don't see it as taking over. We're still humans that need human interaction, and I don't see it as taking over the job. So
it'll make actually, for practices that are run the way that you run, hand-holding clients, providing empathy, guidance, support. AI is not going to replace that.
No, absolutely not.
And it will make the sort of what some might consider the drudgery side of things, preparing accounts and tax returns, easier, simpler, faster in some respects. That's not going to, all that's going to do is free up your time and the time of your staff to give clients more of what they really want and value. So I think you're absolutely right.
I don't see compliance as being around in the way that we know it for very many more years, because for the most part, you'll be able to push a button and produce a set of accounts. And that just leaves the relationship side of it and the question answering, but also the coaching piece, as far as I'm concerned, how to move clients forward.
It's very interesting. I mean, I guess having been doing what you do for 30 years, it's kind of given you a lot of time to, test things and incorporate other parts into the business. And you're very you're like an onion. There's quite a few layers to peel back, because actually you're very creative, right brain. You've done NLP and you incorporate that. You're very you're into technology. But you've had 30 years experience and you've got long-term kind of clients as well. I mean, it's a real kind of success story, and you sort of now made the decision that you're going to kind of embrace the next stage.
Thank you.
I mean, you've said that you've not been very structured, but actually you're now very structured because you're seeing where your future is going and you're planning for that. So
I think for the first time in my life I actually have a plan.
That's great. I mean,
it might not extend too far into the future, but I do actually have a plan.
Love it.
Speaking about your plan, if anyone listening wants to find out more about you and Acumist, Chris, what's the best way for them to
if you sort of squint through your eyes, you can look at their website, but please don't judge me on it, which is acumist.com. On LinkedIn, you'll find me as Chris Gascoyne, Zero Gold Champion. And on most of the social media, just at Acumist will find me somewhere along the line. Via email, if you want to email me, chris@acumist.com, will find me.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Philippa, how can listeners find out more about you and Insight 101?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn or on my website, insight101.co.uk. You can book a meeting for 15 minutes and we can chat about your brand and your business. Basically, I support accountants and bookkeepers to do what Chris has just said is woeful, which is to pull together your story and what you offer as an accountant and make sure that it's really kicking and producing a fantastic website and story. So I work on the brand, but I also work on the marketing side and making sure that there is everything there that your ideal client needs in order to choose you. What about you, Mark? Tell us what you do.
I'm Bookmark Lee. Even my business card is a bookmark, naturally. One thing I've learned from my work with accountants generally is that running your own practice isn't easy, and many, as Chris has already identified, can feel quite isolated. And if you'd like things to feel easier, better, or more on your terms, that's exactly where I come in. Whether it's you want better clients, fewer headaches, more profit, or just to sense check the sort of decisions that you're having to make, the opportunities you face, the challenges you might be struggling with, I'm always happy to have a chat, no strings attached. Some of those ad hoc conversations lead on to regular one-to-one working, or if you're comfortable with where things are, you might decide to join the Sole Practice Club so that you're getting insights and ideas from other sole practitioners like yourself. Or we might agree one chat is all you need. I don't mind. In any event, I'd also encourage you, please reach out, connect with both Philippa and me on LinkedIn, and do please follow the podcast pages on LinkedIn and on Facebook.
Sadly, that's all we have time for today, but thank you very much, Chris, for a fantastic episode. Our thanks again to the sponsors of the podcast, Pinnacle Global Group, your trusted outsourcing partner. Do check out their website and let CEO Mike know how you heard about Pinnacle Global on the Success Secrets podcast. Ooh, there we go.
To the Tax Advice Network, the easiest way for accountants to reach specialist tax advisors. Remember, there's no charge for using the website findataxadvisor.online, where you can also access their weekly tax tips written especially for general practitioner accountants.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share the love online, subscribe and leave a review on Apple, Spotify or YouTube, and let us have your feedback too. We're both at Accountex, so hope to bump into you and hear what you think. All of this helps to broaden the reach of the podcast. Do please contact us if you'd like to be a guest, or if you'd like somebody else to be a guest. We'll do our very best to get them onto the podcast chair.
Yep, that's right. So thank you very much, Philippa. Thanks again to Chris. You've been another wonderful guest. As Philippa mentioned just now, we'll both be at Accountex next week. So our next podcast, Sharing Accountants' Success Secrets, will be in 2 weeks' time. So until the next time we meet on the podcast at Accountex or anywhere else we might meet online or in real life, bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.